Tracking our warm atmospheric river storm as it moves into northern California with more rain and snow on the way. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. Now, this storm dramatically different than what we saw last week. This one has a deep tropical tap to it, so it's really going to push in some warmth and much higher snow elevation. Our weather impact alert, when does it go into effect? It's only going to be a one-day event here on Tuesday. Impact being rain and snow with extra travel time. Be prepared for delays, but much higher snow elevations, and that could mean for slushy travel in the high country, more so than an extended period of snowy travel. As we head into our Monday evening, that's when we first start to see some bands of rain moving through. We'll pick up some peaks of snow coming into the higher elevations right around midnight through early Tuesday morning, but watch what happens. This is quickly going to transition into a rain event for the Tahoe Basin as this warm air starts to work its way in. So here we see the contours have changed out of the pinks and purples into a solid green, orange and yellow, indicating some moderate to heavy rain at times in the high country, whereas the valley is going to be spotty showers through the morning commute. We'll get periods of bands of rain moving through during our Tuesday, but this is a solid rain event for the Sierra into our Tuesday afternoon. So again, we're going to elevate that snow elevation to about 9,000 to almost 10,000 feet by Tuesday afternoon. That's how warm this system is. That tends to be a little wetter as well. So we're going to put some more rain into the valley, and actually mostly a rain event for this year. So we're going to be looking at those accumulations more in the way of rainfall than snow. Excessive rainfall forecast actually puts us in that slight risk of excessive rainfall through the 80-50 corridor north of I-80 right into the Redding area. Marginal risk along the northwest coast through the North Bay area, but nonetheless, we've got a lot of rain that we're going to have to push through the system after seeing some of that come in last week. Our flood alert, well, that's a flood watch along the northwest coast, right along 101 there, just north of Santa Rosa. River rises and low-lying flooding possible through Wednesday evening as we kind of see the delayed impacts of some of that rain coming in. Wanted to check on our river flood stage, and everything is going to be mostly in the green except for a couple of spots here that are going to be at monitor stage. Keep in mind Colusa, Tisdale and Fremont weirs, those are all passive weirs. Basically, it's set up once it reaches a certain elevation, water just flows freely into areas that are designed to hold the excess water, taking the pressure off of downstream flood gauges here, especially throughout the downtown area of Sacramento. We'll look at the I Street Bridge because that one is running right through downtown Sacramento. It's really cool. You can certainly see it's much higher, but as far as the crest, that won't happen. It looks like right now from the forecast models late Thursday, overnight into early Friday morning. We're running well below monitor stage. It's just the river looks really high at this point and muddy. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but this is a great picture. It really depicts how much water and just the sloughing of some of those levees that it takes with it. So a lot of debris in that water. Here's what I wanted to point out. Look at how brown that water is coming in through the delta. Basically, headwater is going to be Shasta. If they're letting out a little bit of water or some of the runoff, it's going to run straight down through the valley, carrying with it all of the debris that it's picking up, a very muddy agricultural area that it's just going to continue to transport that all the way into the downstream areas. The American River, in contrast, is basically coming in from fresh snow melt up there. So it has a different appearance to it. Everything, by the way, meeting in the capital region in downtown Sacramento, American River and the Sacramento River. That's why they like to take pressure off in the upstream weirs if they can, so that they don't have to worry about the flooding downstream. As far as our statewide precipitation, numbers are still looking really solid here after pretty much a week's worth of rain last week. The Sacramento monitoring site, I will say this, it was down a couple of days last week, and so those numbers look a little bit askew from everything else. Just keep that in mind. Those numbers aren't gonna be modified until maybe they can fix that monitoring station and kind of clean things up there. Major reservoir supply. This has been pretty much an ongoing story. Really positive news for our reservoir storage. We're well ahead of where we normally are at this time of year, and everything looking pretty full. They're trying to monitor because keep in mind we had about 8 to 10 feet of snow in the high country, and these are fed largely by our snowpack, which, by the way, is still a little bit below where we should be this time of year, particularly for the northern Sierra at 53% of average to date. We're a little closer to that 100% average in the southern Sierra. Now, one key factor that I do want to point out, we have about a week left of February, then we get into March. That's basically going to be the last month that we see our snowfall outpace our snow melt. Our percent of average for April 1st is a key date when we start to see more snow melt, and that'll fill our reservoirs, then say snowfall. So 60% is where we're standing right now for that April 1st date. Since we're talking the end of snow, and let's turn our attention to rain. When is the average last day with 1 inch of rain? March 3rd. For Sacramento. Last day of about a ½ inch of rain is April 15th. So all of these dates are kind of knocking on the back door here as we start to edge closer to the dry part of the year. It's just around the corner here. And this is all part of the bigger weather story, building a water year, because this is really unique in some ways to California, the way that our system is built and the way that our climate cycle works throughout the year. Fall rain started with big numbers, October, November. We had December and January fall very short of what we normally see, but February coming in ahead of pace here, and that's 50% of our annual precipitation right there, December, January, and February. Peak snowpack, I mentioned this, happens right at the end of March, and then we start to see our peak snow melt, at which point we start to see water at its highest demand. That's the big agricultural growth time, and also our dry season where we need more in the way of surface water and just kind of feeding the overall state with more in the way of water because we're not getting it from the sky. All right, forecast highs for our Tuesday. We're going to be in the 60s, almost 70 as this rain's coming in. That just showcases how warm this storm system is going to be. We're going to be practically to 50 degrees for the higher elevations. Again, it's all because of this tap that's down to the south feeding that low pressure system, and that's just going to guide all of that moisture right through the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. We've been watching our avalanche danger. It's going to continue for the back country through Wednesday at least. This could be upgraded to a warning very quickly, so we constantly are monitoring that. Not much in the way of additional snowfall, 1 to 2 inches possible. It's going to be a bit breezy up in the high country, though. Lake wind advisory in effect, and that can also make some of those slopes very vulnerable. Those slabs can be wind driven to eventually become an avalanche, something to keep in mind. Here's a look at the rainfall totals, about 1/10 of an inch to a ½ an inch in the valley, 1 to 2+ inches of rain falling on what was snow last week. As far as this weather system, it's much warmer. It quickly turns from a snow event in the high country into a rain event. It's a quick mover, though, so that's why we're not seeing these huge wide-scale flood risks throughout California, because it just doesn't linger. We're right back to dry weather by Wednesday afternoon, and that will stay in place through Friday. Slight chance of some weekend showers, still trying to time that one out and see the tracking of that. But overall, March starts off likely warmer and drier. That's still ahead in our statewide forecast. Highs in the 40s tomorrow for this Sierra, with 50s down the hill to almost 60. Again, quite a contrast to our very cold storm that we saw last week. 60s across the coast and through the Delta, almost 70 for the South Bay area. 60s to near 70 through the capital region and the northern San Joaquin Valley, heading into a rainy Tuesday. We'll see that as well for the Sierra. Rain Tuesday, early Wednesday, much drier by the end of the work week into the upcoming weekend. And then we get rain for the foothills, whereas we saw snow last week. Highs will be back near 70 by the time we get to Thursday. And for the Bay Area, it's a one-day event. Highs are in the 60s with rain for our Tuesday. Then it's all about the fog and then drying out for Friday. Highs in the low 70s for San Francisco. Might be a great day to go visit the city by the bay. Weather impact alert in place for our Tuesday. Then we're dry and we're warmer by the end of the week. Still watching that weather system potentially due in for the weekend with a couple of sprinkles in there. Doesn't look like anything in the way of a big organized storm, but we'll watch that for our weekend forecast.